Hi everyone, good day. So for this content video, we will going to talk about the learning principle. First and foremost, I would like to introduce myself and my team. So I am Rika M. Damian from Study Hub number 4, The Chosen Ones.
Student Teacher Lynn Joey L. Sampson.
Good day everyone, my name is Alan Joey Samson from Study Hub number 4, The Chosen One.
Student Teacher Liner Banua.
Hi, good day. I am Alinar Banwa from Study Hub number 4, The Chosen Ones.
Student Teacher Sanric J.M. Quinto.
My name is Sanric J.M. Quinto and I am from Study Hub number 4, The Chosen Ones.
Student Teacher Jerome F. Galvez.
Hi, my name is Jerome F. Galvez from Study Hub 4, Chosen Ones.
1. Psychoanalytic and Psychosexual Theory of Sigmund Freud. Identify.
My topic is the Psychoanalytic and Psychosexual Theory of Sigmund Freud. Identify. The Psychoanalytic was founded by Sigmund Freud that he believed our people could be cured by making conscious their unconscious thoughts and motivations, thus gaining insights. In the Psychosexual, Freud in 1905, he believed that life was built around tension and pleasures. So Freud also believed that all tensions was due to the build-up of libido, or the sexual energy, and that all pressures came from discharge. In describing a human personality, developed was the psychosexual Freud meant to convey that what developed is the way in which sexual energy of the idea accumulates its discharge with matures biologically.
Describe.
Sigmund Freud's psychoanalytic theory of personality argues that human behavior is the result of the interactions among three components part of the mind, which include the ID, ego, and the superego. On the other hand, Freud, the psychosexual, proposed that personality development is in childhood take place during the psychosexual stages, which are the oral, anal, palate, latency, and the genital stages. So during each stage, sexual energy or libido is expressed in a different way and truly different parts of the body. So these are called psychosexual stages because each stage represents the fixations of libido, really translated as sexual drive or instincts, so on a different area of our body.
Explain.
The psychoanalytic theory divides the psyche of three functions: the ID, the superego, and the ego. The ID is unconscious source of the primitive sexual dependency and the aggressive impulse. In the superego, subconsciously interject societal mores, settings, standards to live by. The ego represents a sense of self and mediates between realities of the moment and the psychic needs and conflicts. In the psychosexual, each of the psychosexual stages is associated with a particular conflict that must be resolved before the individual can successfully advance to the next stage. The resolution of each of these conflicts require the expeditions of sexual energy and the more energy that is expended at the particular stage, the more the important characteristics and the stage remain with the individual as he or she matures psychologically.
2. Cognitive Theory by Jean Piaget.
Cognitive Theory by Piaget. Jean Piaget's theory of cognitive development suggests that children move through 4 different stages of mental development. His theory focuses not only on understanding how children acquire knowledge, but also on understanding the nature of intelligence.
Describe.
Cognitive development was progressive reorganization of mental processes as a result of biological maturation and environmental experience. Children construct an understanding of the world around them, then experience discrepancy between what they already know and what they discover in their environment.
Explain.
Jean Piaget's theory of cognitive development suggests that children move through four different stages of intellectual development, which reflect the increasing sophistication of children. That each child goes through the stage in the same order, and child development is determined by the biological maturation and interaction with the environment. At each stage of development, the child thinking is qualitatively different from the other stage. That is, each stage involves a different type of intelligence.
3. Psychosocial theory of development by Erickson. Identify.
Psychosocial theory for development by Erickson. Identify. Erickson maintained that personality develops in a predetermined order through 8 stages of psychological development, from its infancy to adulthood. And during its stages, the person experiences a psychological crisis which could have a positive or negative outcome for personality development.
Describe.
Psychological development involves changes not only in children's overt behavior but also in their social cognition.
Explain.
Psychosocial development is just a fancy phrase that refers to how a person's individual needs mesh with the needs or demand of society. According to Erickson, a person passes through 8 development stages that build one each other.
Explain.
For example, they become able to take the perspective of others and to understand that other people's behavior is based on their knowledge and desires.
4. Sociocultural theory by Lev Vygotsky.
Topic: Cultural theory by Lev Vygotsky. Identify. According to Vygotsky, sociocultural theory asserts that learning is an essential social process in which the support of parents, caregivers, peers, and the wider society and culture plays a crucial role in the development of higher psychological functions.
Describe.
Vygotsky's sociocultural theory of human learning describes learning as a social process and the origination of human intelligence in society or culture.
Explain.
For Vygotsky, he believed everything is learned on 2 levels. First, through interaction with others, and then integrated into the individual's mental structure. For example, a 5-year-old child knows how to ride a tricycle, but can ride a bicycle unless his grandfather holds onto the back of her bike. According to Vygotsky theory, this kind of child is in zone of proximal development for riding bicycle.
5. Ecological theory by Bronbenfrener. Identify.
Ecological theory by Bronbenfrener. The 5 ecological system. The 5 ecological system interrelated, and the influences of the one system on a child development depends on the relationship with the others. The microsystem, the first level of the Bronbenfrener theory. The mesosystem. It compasses the interaction between the child and the microsystem. The ecosystem is a component of the ecological system theory developed by the Curie Bronbenfrener in the 1970s. The macrosystem is a component of the Bronbenfrener's ecological system theory that focuses on how cultural elements affect the child development. The last is the Kernel System. The 5th and the final level of Bronbenfrener's ecological system theory is known as the Kernel System.
Describe.
The microsystem. The things that have direct contact with the child. If a child has a strong nurturing relationship with their parents, it is said to have the positive effect on the child. The mesosystem. The interaction between the child, parents, and teachers, or between school pairs or siblings. The SO system. It incorporates with the formal and informal social structures. The macro system. Cultural elements affects a child development, such as the socio-economic status, wealth, poverty, and ethnicity. The Kernel System. The environmental changes that occur over the lifetime which influence develop and including major social transitions and historical events.
Explain.
The microsystem. Relationship of the microsystem is bidirectional, meaning the child can be influenced by other people and their environment, and also capable of changing belief and actions of other people too. Furthermore, the reactions of a child to individual as their microsystem can influence how they treat them in return. The interactions between microsystems are often very personal and crucial for fostering and supporting the child development. The mesosystem. The mesosystem is where a person, individual microsystem do not function independently but are interconnected and assert influence upon one another. For instance, if a child parents communicate with a child teachers, the interactions may influence the child development. Essentially, a mesosystem is a system of microsystems. The SO system. The SO system affecting to a child development could be if one of the parents has a dispute with their boss at work. The parent may come home and have a short temper with the child as a result of something which happened in the workplace, resulting of a negative effect on development. The macro system. It culture that individuals are immersed within may influence their beliefs, perceptions about events that transpire their lives. The macro system differs from the fibrous ecosystem as it does not refer to the specific environments of the developing child, but already established society and culture which the child is developing in. This can be include the socio-economic status, ethnicity, geographic locations, and ideologies of the culture. The Kernel System. This system consists of all the environmental changes that occur over the lifetime, which influence development, including major life transitions and historical events. This can include normal life transitions, such as the starting school, but also can non-normative life transitions, such as the parents getting divorced or having to move on with a new house.
6. Classical conditioning by Ivan Pavlov. Identify.
Classical conditioning by Ivan Pavlov. Identify. Pavlov have identified a fundamental associative learning process called a classical conditioning. So classical conditioning refers to a learning that occurs when a neutral stimulus becomes associated with a stimulus that naturally produces a behavior.
Describe.
Describe. Classical conditioning, also known as the Pavlovian or responding conditioning, is learning through the association and was discovered by Pavlov. Pavlov is a Russian physiologist. In a simple term, two stimuli are linked together to produce a new learning response in a person or animal.
Explain.
Explain. Classical conditioning is a type of learning that happens unconsciously. When you learn through classical conditioning, an automatic conditioned response is paired with a specific stimulus. This creates a behavior we're all exposed to classical conditioning in one way or another throughout of our lives.
7. Operand Conditioning by B.F. Skinner. Identify.
Operand Conditioning by B.F. Skinner defined that operand conditioning is a learning process whereby deliberate behaviors are reinforced through consequences.
Describe.
Operant conditioning, sometimes referred to as an instrumental conditioning, is a method of learning that occurs through rewards and punishment to behavior.
Explain.
Operand conditioning is a learning process whereby deliberate behaviors are enforced through consequences. It differs from classical conditioning, also called respondent or Reviovient conditioning, in which involuntary behaviors are triggered by external stimuli.
Example.
Example of an operant conditioning: that a dog that has learned the sound of a bell proceeds its arrival of food, maybe begin to celebrate of the sound of a bell even if no foods arrive.
8. Multiple Intelligences Theory by Howard Gardner. Identify.
Multiple intelligence theory by Howard Gardner. Howard Gardner's theory of multiple intelligence proposes that people are not born with all of the intelligence they will ever have. This theory challenged the traditional notion that there is one single type of intelligence, sometimes known as J for general intelligence, that only focuses on cognitive intelligence.
Describe.
Multiple intelligence refers to a theory describing the different ways students learn and acquire information. These multiple intelligence range from the use of words, numbers, picture, and music to the importance of a social interaction, introspection, physical movement, and being in tune with the nature. The theory emphasizes that an understanding of which type of intelligence a student may possess can help teachers adjust learning style and suggest certain career paths for learners.
Explain.
Multiple intelligence is a theory posited by Harvard Developmental Psychology. Howard Gardner in 1983 that suggests human intelligence can be differentiated into 8 modalities: visual, spatial, verbal, linguistic, musical, rhyme, logical, mathematical, intrapersonal, and naturalistic.
Example.
An example is linguistic intelligence. Linguistic intelligence involves the ability to comprehend words while reading, writing, or speaking. These include reading and writing in a person's native tongue, but it also involves the ability to learn new language. A few activities and skills related to linguistic intelligence include reading books aloud or independently, learning new vocabulary words, writing story, sentence, or essay.
9. Metacognitive by John Flavel. Identify.
Identify the metacognition. Metacognition is, put it simply, thinking about one's thinking.
Describe.
Describe the metacognition. The metacognition is the process of thinking about one's own thinking and learning. Explain the metacognition. Metacognition is an awareness of one's own thoughts, process, and an understanding of the patterns behind them.
Example.
The example of metacognition includes planning how to approach a learner task. The example of metacognition. It includes planning how to approach a learning task.
10. Laws of Learning by Edward Thorndike. Identify.
The Laws of Learning by Edward Thorndike. There are 2 laws of learning: the primary laws of learning and the secondary laws of learning. In primary laws of learning, they have 3: the law of readiness, the law of exercise, the law of effect. While in the secondary laws of learning, there are 3: the laws of primacy, the laws of intensity, the laws of residency. The primary laws of learning. Law of readiness. The degree of the preparedness and eagerness to learn. It is the law of action tendency. The law of exercise. Things that most important repeated are the best remembered. It is the law of the used and disuse. Law of effect. It is the emotional state of the learner affect to the learning. The secondary laws of learning. Law of primacy. It is the learning it takes place in the beginning is the best and lasting. Law of residency. The things are most recently learned are the best remembered. The last of intensity. It is the intensity states that if its stimulus is real, is more likely there is be a change in behavior or learning.
Describe.
Law of readiness. Individuals learn best when they are ready to learn, and they will not learn as much if they see no reason of learning. The law of exercise. There are two laws in law of exercise, the law of the used and the law of disused. The law of the use is the learning of the strengthened with repeated trial or practiced. Law of disuse, it is the learning of weak when the trial or practice is discontinued. Law of effect. It is the learning is strengthened when it is accompanied by pleasant or satisfying feeling. Learning is weak when it is associated with the unpleasant feeling. Law of primacy. Learning should be done correctly for the first time, since it is difficult to unlearn or change an incorrect learned material. The law of residency. Things are more recent learned are best remembered, while the things learned some times ago are remembered with a more difficult. Frequently viewed and summarizations help fixed in the mind to the material covered. Law of intensity. Law of intensity, it is the stimulates of the real and the learning. A vivid or dramatic or exciting learning experiences teachers more than routine or boring experience.
Explain.
One of the examples of the law of readiness is the teacher should do the new experiences or to revive the class before taking up the new lessons arose with the interest and desires of the students to learn. The law of exercise. A teacher should have a constant practice in what has once have been learned. Delayed use or long disuse may cause forgetfulness. Law of effect. Punishment should be avoided as far as possible. Punishment produces a negative effect. It causes discouragement. So the second laws of learning. The law of primacy. One of the examples of the law of primacy is, for the instructor, it means that what they teach for the first time must be correct. It's more difficult to unteach a subject than to teach it correctly for the first time. Law of residency. So the instructor should recognize or to restate make sure that the learners remember them instead of inconsequential details. Law of intensity. So a teacher more learn in the real thing of the models that is used to learning experiences in learning.
I get dirty thoughts about you.